Welcome back to Navigating the Streams. I'm Mike DeLong, and I'm here to tell you about everything I watched in February. I'm sorry this video is late. I've had a crazy March and hope to be back on schedule in April. I watched 9 movies last month, including 6 movies from 2025, my first 2026 movie in the theater, and a French classic. As always, I'm giving you my reviews from least favorite to most favorite. Let me know what you think. First up is Paterson, and I gave it 1 star. I watched this movie, and I wish I can get my 2 hours back. While I was watching, I was looking up reviews, and I saw one that said, riveting, and I had to make sure that we were watching the same movie. I don't know where they got riveting from. Adam Driver is a bus driver and a poet. He goes through life without any major events happening. The most exciting thing that happens is the bus breaks down one day. He has a wife who's a dreamer, but her character is totally undeveloped. He goes to a bar every night, but nothing important happens there. His poems aren't even that good. There's no story. It's worse than mundane. The characters are pretty non-existent. There are even things that you think foreshadow something, but never amount to anything at all. Just save your time and avoid this one at all costs. Next up, I've got I'm Chevy Chase and You're Not, and I gave it 2 3/4 stars. I watched this documentary because I like some Chevy Chase movies from the 80s, like Three Amigos, Caddyshack, and Christmas Vacation. I knew he had some on-the-set issues, and I wanted to know more. The documentary talks about his rise to stardom in the 70s, his relationships, and his success in the 80s. It also delves into his substance abuse problems and the 90s and 2000s where his career tanked, the unexpected comeback with Community, and his fall from grace there. So, Chevy Chase has always been full of himself, and no one besides his family makes any excuses for him. He's really to blame for everything he's said and done, but the documentary doesn't really fully make that point. The movie basically shows you that Chase is an old person that hasn't adapted to modern changes. He can be funny, but if he slips into his old 70s and 80s persona, he will be offensive. His family also says that his 2020 heart troubles and subsequent coma are to blame for him not being able to remember some of the worst things that he's said and done. Ultimately, I found the documentary forgettable. I had to go back and watch parts again to jog my memory. If you love Chevy Chase, you'll probably enjoy this movie. I mean, it was enjoyable at the time. But you could probably skip it, read his Wikipedia page, and save yourself some time. Next is The Bad Guys 2, and I gave it 3 stars. I watched The Bad Guys 2 with my son when he wasn't feeling well. He loved it, but it was just fine. The bad guys are trying to live a clean, crime-free life. However, no one believes them, and they're struggling. They meet a group of female thieves that blackmail them into completing their heist. The voice acting and animation are on par with the first one. The story, though, just wasn't great. I mean, it took the Fast and Furious franchise 9 movies to go to space, but only 2 for the bad guys. I don't know if this story was in any of the books, but it definitely needed more work. Even though my son told me to give this movie 5 stars, I can only give it 3. Next is The Smashing Machine, and I gave it 3 stars. The Smashing Machine was a movie I was looking forward to, but not really anticipating. A friend of mine tried to convince me to see it in the theaters, but I was reluctant. I'm glad I passed, but was happy enough to watch it on streaming. Dwayne Johnson plays MMA fighter Mark Kerr wonderfully. It is the dawn of the sport, and Mark travels the globe to get fights, but also struggles with addiction and the outbursts of his girlfriend. This movie is not well written. It feels like a collection of scenes instead of a cohesive story. I heard it's really close, nearly shot for shot, to the documentary of the same name that came out 25 years ago, and if that's the case, it shows. I wish they had done more with the story. Like I said, Johnson does a great job with what he's given, especially with the softer side of Kerr. Emily Blunt is good, but not great. Her character is a bit outrageous, and again, the script lets down this great actress. It's generally shot well, not great, but that's not the reason anybody's watching this movie. If you were expecting The Smashing Machine to be a major awards contender, I can see how you'd be disappointed with this movie. But if you went in with realistic expectations, I think there's enough here to find it enjoyable. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel for future reviews and to find out what's coming to a streaming service near you. Next up is Breathless, and I gave it 3 stars. While I can recognize the historical importance of this movie, I gotta say that it wasn't as enjoyable as I wanted it to be. Breathless is about a crook who steals a car and kills a cop in the process. Instead of getting away, he tries to get his, let's say, girlfriend to sleep with him and run away to Italy, instead of actively trying to avoid capture. There's not much of a story here. It's a lot of sitting or lying around. The girl shows little interest in the crook, possibly because she's not that great of an actor, or it's lacking in the script, but it's probably a combination of both. There are things that happen that have no bearing on anything, such as a bicyclist who gets hit by a car. The crook witnesses it, walks up to the cyclist, mentions it to the girl, and she ignores it and moves on, as if she wasn't listening. There isn't anything connecting you to the characters, and you just feel like the crook is dumb for not escaping, whether he gets laid or not. It looks good for the most part, and is important to the French New Wave, but that doesn't mean it's a good movie. If you're a film student or just love film history, you should probably watch this movie. But if not, just skip it. Next is Nouvelle Vague, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I much preferred watching a fictionalized making of the movie Breathless to watching the movie Breathless itself. Richard Linklater directs this behind-the-scenes story of the making of Breathless. He starts by showing how producers were hesitant to let Godard make a movie, then goes about proving them right with his erratic shooting schedule and lack of direction, besides how he felt that day. Godard is a pompous artist in the movie, and his relationships with the people around him suffer, especially with Jean Seberg, the female lead, in the movie played by Zoe Deutsch. I liked the performances in the movie as well as the recreation of time and place. It was very interesting to watch this version of how a much acclaimed movie was made. This is an interesting concept for a movie, and I find it ultimately successful. It's not my favorite movie of the year, but it's far from my least favorite too. If you appreciate Breathless, like Linklater movies, or just love film history, you'll probably find this movie enjoyable. But if you don't fall into any of these categories, you'll probably just sit there and wonder, why was this made? Next, I've got Send Help, and I gave it 3.75 stars. Send Help is the first movie I saw in theaters this year, and I was not disappointed. Rachel McAdams plays Linda, an office nerd dedicated to her job on her way up. When the new boss passes her over for a man because of superficial and sexist reasons, she's obviously upset, but tries to prove her worth on a business trip. When the plane crashes, her skill as the biggest Survivor fan ever flips the tables on the only other person who survives the crash, her horrible boss. He wants to do everything to get back to his life, but she's thriving and wants to stay. I like a lot about this movie. McAdams is amazing as she switches from mousy office worker to beautiful island castaway in several ways, but her acting really stands out. The story is funny and at times a little scary, which is par for the course when it comes to Sam Raimi. The setting is amazing too. I do have some problems with CGI animals in the movie though. There are small flocks of birds that look awful and are completely unnecessary, as well as a boar with a ridiculous amount of mucus. The birds could have easily been omitted, and the boar, which looked better, didn't need that much snot, if any at all. Both took me out of the movie and were disappointing for what's possible with visual effects today. I recommended this movie in a brief review I gave shortly after I saw it, and I still think it's a fun movie. If you missed it in theaters, definitely check it out on streaming. Blue Moon is next, and I gave it 4 stars. Blue Moon would make an excellent play. Ethan Hawke would definitely get a Tony nomination, if not a win. However, as a movie, it's slow and extremely talky, which may turn off some viewers. Ethan Hawke plays Lorenz Hart, famed lyricist and former partner, at the time of the movie, to composer Richard Rodgers. Rodgers has just teamed up with Oscar Hammerstein for the first time, and they wrote Oklahoma, which premiered the night the movie takes place. Hart has 3 obsessions: luring Rodgers back, a young woman half his age, and alcohol, which would ultimately contribute to his death. Ethan Hawke is amazing in this movie. He deserved every nomination and would have been a worthy winner, but this movie is small and lacked enough other aspects to make it an awards juggernaut. The movie mostly takes place in a bar, but makes good use of the space, including a foyer and a coat room. The script is very good, but again is very dialogue heavy and light on activity. The inclusion of Hart's infatuation with a 20-year-old woman is probably unnecessary, except to show how he was disconnected from reality. He believes there's a possibility of a relationship, even though he's twice her age and a homosexual. This part of the movie brings it down a little bit for me, but the Hawke performance is the movie and earns the high rating I'm giving it. Ethan Hawke is well worth your time. Watch this movie, and hopefully in the future, more like it can be made. Finally, we have Together, which I gave 4.5 stars. I knew about Together before it came out. I liked the trailers, and I was excited to watch it on streaming. It took me a while to get to it, though, because I was worried that it was going to let me down. It did not. Real-life couple Dave Franco and Allison Brie play Tim and Millie, a couple moving from the city to the country for Millie's job. Tim is a musician, but is struggling with life. They go for a hike and fall into an unusual cave during a storm. The next day, things start to get weird. They begin to stick together when they touch and feel an intense magnetic attraction. They need to figure out what caused this and what the end game is. I loved this movie. I thought the story was original and the performances were so good. The story flows well from one act to the next, and the characters make mostly believable choices. The body horror is great, especially the scene in the school bathroom, but I wouldn't say that the movie is scary. It has more of a thriller vibe. If you like body horror or thrillers, definitely check this one out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. That'll do it for this review video. Most of these movies were pretty mid, with the exception of Together, Blue Moon, and Sun Help. Have you seen any of these movies? Let me know in the comments. If reviews aren't your thing, come back and see what's streaming in April, hopefully pretty soon. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.